and make sure we are getting live now that Facebook decided to redo all of their live, so it made it more complicated, but I think we're getting it figured out. So here we go. Go live. Fantastic. We are live here on this Saturday. I can hear that it is sunny in Europe. It's also sunny here in Minnesota, where we are streaming in from. And I'm excited to be here each and every Saturday. I think it's fun just to see all the people that come on with our Zinzino family. And you know, Zinzino, if you are a partner here, you know that where we're going and the vision that we have. And Zinzino has been incorporating new companies into Zinzino, and it's actually attracting a lot of our big networkers that have been globally known around the world. And a while back, Zinzino acquired a company that our guest speaker was had started. And when he got started, he took Zinzino by storm. He grew exponential, huge actually. And at first I was always saying, yeah, these people that come in, they can just, you know, definitely sponsor all of the people that they know, and they can have a big title right away, until he told me that all the people from that company he sponsored down one of the legs so that he would be working to build the other side. And that right there woke my attention. I have such respect for the speaker that's coming on today. And he hasn't stopped. He has been growing and growing and growing his business, which is growing it all over the world. He just was here in the United States. He's going back and forth with so many countries. I don't even know what country he's going to call in from today. But he gave a speech here at our director trip. And I can tell you, I went back to check on my notes, and I hardly have any notes from it because I was so glued to what he was saying. And as soon as I was able to talk to him afterwards, I said, when can I have you on one of my Saturday calls? I want to get this exact word out, because we all want to grow our business. And he is somebody that not only does he have the mindset for this, he's been in the corporate side and he's been in the field side. So he has this wealth of knowledge that we can harness. So I want you to just give him a warm Zinzino welcome from all of us here. Please welcome Dr. Sven Goebel. Hi, Sven.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for this amazing introduction, Carla. And I'm happy that the sun is shining all over the place. It does indeed here. The Alps look amazing. We might get a little bit of rain, but so far we had an amazing day here in Switzerland.
I love it. So now we know where you're calling in from, because I think it was just a few days ago, you were part of the group that was signing up on yet another company that just was announced with Zealous starting here, and you were in France working on that.
Exactly. I was last weekend, just a week ago, I traveled to France. One of my downlines, who's also a great leader, I've been knowing him for over 30 years. He's one of those examples you just talked about, Carla, that top network marketing professionals all over the place are now joining Zinzino. It's the company to join on a global scale right now. So more and more these top professionals who are more and more understanding what they are looking for the rest of their lives, for something they can build a legacy on. That's why they join Zinzino, and then it's just a matter of time when they bring other top leaders on board, or even entire companies where the leaders of those companies say, you know what, I would like to jump under the wing of a company like Zinzino and just scale much faster. And this is actually what happened with Xelis. It's been a preparation for a few months now. It's been nothing but amazing. I think the culture and those people fit incredibly well into Zinzino. We are very glad that we have them on board now. We had that meeting in Paris with 300 people live and another 300 tuning in from all the French islands all across the world. And it's like vacation names like Martinique, La Réunion, the Antilles. It's beautiful, and we will get an amazing crowd into Zinzino, and we are very happy because this just adds to all our growth. And what I usually say is, hey, if you wanna feel even more happy about what's happening, just buy one Zinzino share and everybody suddenly starts working for you.
I love that. I love it. So, Sven, just briefly, because it's the same thing that you said, it's the same thing we're seeing in other countries. Zinzino has been acquiring more and more different companies, but when you are looking, it's not just being bought out. You look for the match. So now you've been on both sides. You've been on the side where you were a company that started looking at Zinzino, of working under that wing, and yet now you're kind of working with Zinzino and acquiring others. So you're actually foot on both sides. Could you, just for those who are watching, say what are the points that most people are looking at when they're looking at Zinzino? Like, what attracted you to be working with Zinzino?
Yeah, I mean, there's a video on YouTube that says, why Zinzino, why now? And when I was starting to look, running my own company and understanding also when we really made it through COVID and things didn't turn out as we wanted to, and also for me at the same time feeling that I'm rather a good networker than a good CEO of my own company. You know, I belong to the people, I don't belong behind a desk, and had all these different hats on when running this own company. So I felt after some time, for me and for my family and for everything I've learned so far over the past 32 years since I'm in this profession, I do belong in the field just like you. So I was looking for a company, for a partner company that would just fit our understanding, our demands. It would have a certain culture, it would have certain values, there would be transparency. I made a 17-point list and just talked in Paris about that. And on these 17 points list, most of them were about the people. Also, there were some about the company and the compensation plan structure and these kind of things. And of course, about the product as well, because this all has to be in place. But Zinzino is not the only company that has that in place, but altogether, it does it really have in place. And when I talked to a friend of mine and said, look, I would like to partner up with a company, we had that conversation, I think it was 3 years ago. We joined 2 years ago, so 3 years ago we had that conversation. And I told him, look for a company that would fit it. And here's a list of 17 points that I brought up. That's the company I'm looking for. And when he looked at this list, he started laughing at me and said, Sven, that's nice, but a company like that doesn't exist. No company ticks off all these boxes. And I said, I know, but find me one that comes close. So at the end of the day, Zinzino, to cut that short, ticks off 15 of these 17 boxes. The other 2 were negotiable. The top 5 actually were non-negotiable. So that's the ones that had to be, otherwise I wouldn't be interested. And one of them was, of course, that it's founder-driven, so not to lose the spirit and the vision of its original findings and foundings. Also that the founders are still young and hungry. I've seen a lot of companies where the founders retired. And that's a dramatic situation because when they stop working and put others in charge, when they leave the playing field and go back in the stands or even somewhere else, the spirit of the company goes into the stands as well. And most of the shareholder value even gets pulled out of the company and it's been directed from the outside and all the dynamics of the company change. So for me, it was important to see that we have founders who are hungry for another 20, 30, whatever years. And Orion and Hilde, they are 10 years younger than my wife and me. So I thought, well, at least they're going to make it longer than we will. And that's fine for us at this point. They are going to drive this thing a few decades. They are hungry and we have enough time to build a legacy, knowing that we are safe behind these founders. That was one of the major parts. The other thing that I'm very interested in, of course, because I've seen a lot of drama happening in the industry, was that I want the company to be transparent. And having a public company like Zinzino, where you can read every yearly, every annual, and every quarterly report, that gives you ease of mind, because if you understand some kind of numbers, and if not ask somebody to explain it to you, you can see that the company is in top shape, which gives you some security that you know what you're selling out there when you put people in the business. That you go out with security, you go out with safety, you go out with confidence, and you go out with pride if you know that everything is intact. So this was also one of the things when my top 5. The other things, of course, was it had to be a European company. I've been working with US companies all my life, and I'm not saying that US companies are worse than European companies, but when it comes to us in Europe, most US companies don't understand the complexity of Europe. So from a European perspective, working with a US company can end up in some frustration, while working on a global scale with a US company or a European company is kind of the same thing. So that's totally fine. But when it comes to Europe specifically, the complexity of the marketplaces, just about VAT, currencies, logistics, if you don't have, let's say, some origin on the ground here in Europe, it's going to be pretty hard. And I suffered a lot over the past decades with that. So that was something that was on my wish list. And of course, a unique product which drives a lot of customers. Only if you know, you don't need to talk to me about your product. You don't need to talk to me about pricing. You don't need to talk to me about retention when it comes to product. I only have one question. What's your customer distributor ratio? And if I see, like in Cinzino, there's a 25-to-1 customer to distributor ratio, I know that they must have a good product. I know that they must have a product that the customers love. I know that they must have a product that the customers will or want to afford and can buy. I know that it is the product that customer stays loyal with. And then I don't need to ask any more questions about the product, because that says it all. That ratio says everything about the product, you know? And then, of course, understanding that we are disrupting the entire nutrition market with test-based nutrition, that was perfect for me. So all in all, but I'm not going to talk about all of this. You can listen to this on YouTube. I sent you the link, Carla, about the training. I think it's even in English. It was also a Facebook Live about 6 or 9 months ago, which I did. You can listen into it and you get all these points. And I want you to become acquainted with these points, because you can use them as talking points for yourself. So when you speak to people who come from a different company, or they have their own arguments, you can use these points to tell them, look, this is how it is with Cinzino. Wouldn't you be convinced about that if I shared you that, and so forth? And they would go like, oh yeah, you know, this is amazing. I really want to look deeper into it. Cinzino was flying under the radar for such a long time, and I think over the past 2 years, we have pushed it on the radar, and now it's just thriving, and the timing couldn't be better to be with this company right now.
I love it. I love it. You just get excited just listening to you, Sven. Now,
that's my job.
Yeah.
It works too, actually. That's
The
your job
motivation.
too. Hey, if you can't get people excited when you tell them something, you have nothing exciting to tell.
And
right?
you can feel it. You can feel that excitement. And I think that's one thing that makes you such a good speaker, is that you're speaking from the heart and you're telling what you know, you have both the wisdom and the knowledge, but you're excited about this and you can feel that. And at the director trip, you had a speech that talked about building the business. I know it was probably meant more for leaders, but I just felt how powerful it was. I remember some of the things on it. Like I said, I went back, I was going to get all these notes from it. And I'm like, okay, I was just listening to you most of the time. So it's about building the business, because you know, you've been building this industry for a while. But in Cinzino, there's certain things that you know of, things that also hold people back, or the things that will create that momentum. And you were mentioning some of those major things that I don't think people really talk about, because sometimes the things that are holding you back are things that people don't want to talk about. They want to talk about what motivates you also. But I think what you did was talk about what holds you back and what you can do to turn that around.
Yeah. Actually, it was a speak about leadership, which had a pretty dramatic title. And the title of that speech was The Death Spiral of a Leader. and let me elaborate a little bit on this one, because it's one of my favorite topics. Because what interests me most in our profession is actually to build people, to get them out of their comfort zones, to get them into different spheres, to make them good leaders. And first of all, leadership is nothing you can earn. Leadership is nothing that gets awarded to you. There's no entitlement thinking into being a leader. Being a leader is just a choice. It's a decision. And it's a decision that all of you here on this call and everyone you know can make in a second. Yeah, you can decide, even if you are brand new in Cinzino and you only have one downline in your ever signed in, you can decide to be the very best version of yourself, leading this one person, this first person, to success as good as you can, to the max of your abilities. It's like with every sport, you know, if you just aim to become better, you will be better every single day the more you practice. And the same is it here. And this is the key of leadership. And people don't understand that there's a huge compound effect in this. So if you add that over time, over the days, the weeks, the months, the years, you will end up being just an amazing leader people love to follow for leadership and advice. And sometimes you sit in the audience and see these people on stage, and you go like, oh, holy moly, how good are these people? What they all have done and they have accomplished. And it's just that chapter thing. You know, I'm 32 years in this industry, and I always tell everyone, I said, look, don't be worried, don't be scared, don't feel bad. Don't compare my chapter 32 with your chapter 1. Because I had my chapter 1 as well. And I had my chapter 5, and I had my chapter 12. And there were chapters in these years that were ugly. Yeah, it wasn't only just straight up. And once you're in a situation where things don't go so well, you can decide in a second to remind yourself of being the best version of yourself as a leader. Step out of your comfort zone and just do better. Just get better. I had a discussion with my 10-year-old last night at the dinner table, because he and his best friends, they are buddies since they were babies, but sometimes they can really fight against each other, especially when one of them feels that the other is doing something better. So they were in the football team, but they were in opposite teams in football. And then the friend of my son was scoring more goals than my son did. And he was getting so offended that they were kind of really crushing into each other and having a struggle. So we as parents had to step in and said, guys, and you know what I told my son at dinner table? I said, I'm very sorry that you felt that way, but no apologies. You just have to get better. Don't wish he was worse. Wish you were better. Because that's the only thing you have under control. You can't control how good he is. And he nailed it. He drove circles around you in this football game. Bad for you, but it's a great lesson, my son, because you just got to get better. And I do exactly the same with my downlines, you know. I'm not that kind of Mother Teresa upline, helicopter upline, who tries to prevent the downline from all the failures. And I'm not the one that always encourages them. I'm somebody very strict, and I say, just get better. Just do better. Better tomorrow than you did yesterday. One baby step at a time, and it will compound so incredibly over time that suddenly you will turn around after a few months and years and say, wow, you know, I've come a long way. I'm proud of myself. You know, I think I figured some things out. You never figured everything out. I think I still got a lot to figure out in the next years to come. But if I look back, it's been quite a path. And I want to encourage you to do exactly the same. Now, coming back to this speech, the death spiral of a leader talks about the various stages you can be. You can be in leadership mode, where you do all the things we just discussed. You just lead. The next step you can step down into is the managing mode. Managers just want others to do, want to tell them what to do, but they are not doing it themselves anymore. And you can very often fall back into management mode. I'm guilty of it as well. It happens from time to time. And the moment you are in management mode, either somebody tells you, or you just admit it to yourself and step back into leadership mode and do the things that need to be done, and not just talk about the things that need to be done. You know, just sitting there giving your downline advice is not leadership. That's management. Now there's two more in that vicious circle. The next, below the management mode, is the excuse mode. The excuse mode is pretty traumatic, because you start making excuses. You start making excuses why things don't work, why you have no time, why this is happening, why the product isn't good, and so forth. You know, that's that excuse mode. You try to find excuses rather than work on solutions. While you can get yourself out of the management mode yourself, back into leadership mode, once you are in excuse mode, you need help. You will not be able to get out of that mode yourself. So somebody needs to take you aside and say, listen, you just got to realize that you are just making excuses and you are just blocking yourself from everything. You need to step back up, and I'm going to help you. Let me help you to remove those excuses, because all excuses are equal. They are worth just nothing, except you're going to have a lousy result and not the outcome you want. And you are going to do like a bad strawberry in a little basket. You're going to infect all the other strawberries negatively. That's what you're going to do with your team. So you're killing your organization like this if you are making excuses. No leader does that. And then the last mode, which is even worse from the excuse mode, if you don't get help, you will end up in the blame mode. And once you're on the blame mode, you have given up on all responsibility because you blame everything and anything and anyone for why things don't work for you. You blame the company, you blame the weather, you blame your boss, you blame your bank account, you blame anything, you blame your spouse. And the problem is with blaming that when you believe, and you start believing it after a while, that it is other people or other things' fault that it doesn't work for you, you are giving away responsibility to those who might not even know that you blame them for something, or at least don't feel guilty about your situation. So they're not going to help you. Nothing's going to help you. You have really locked yourself in a box and you're done. And then once you're on blame mode, better leave this business. Yeah, don't do it. Don't infect anyone else. Just get aside. So we need to be very careful that we do not try to deal with people who are in the blame mode. Because people in blame mode need to understand they have to take on responsibility. Yeah. And once you start taking on the responsibility, something magical happens because you regain power. You regain power because the moment you have that responsibility on you again, you are in the driver's seat again and you can change things. When you give responsibility to others, you're dependent on others who might not even see this as their business. They might be dealing with something else and don't even think about you, but you blame them and nothing's going to change. It's very simple. And this actually hasn't to do with our business. This has to do with everything in life. That's how life works. That's why it's so important to understand, even when things become uncomfortable, to take on full responsibility, because this gives you full power. And once you have full power, you can solve almost anything. And that's why it's so important to make sure that you stay in the leadership mode, stay in the driver's seat, be a strong person, be a role model to these people out there, and just give your very best. And this has nothing to do with being a diamond or a director or an ambassador or even a president. It has to do with the decision that you can make from the very first day since you're here.
You know, Sven, when you're saying that, it just, I mean, having a team, you see everybody at different levels and probably been through all of the different levels. So I want to ask you two separate things. So like, if you find that just hearing this, man, that you are somewhere, maybe somebody says, yeah, I've been in excuse mode, or I guess I'm blaming a lot of others and I need to, sometimes it's how do you get out of that yourself? I mean, you said, just it's a decision, but what can you do if you see that there are things that hold you back? And my second question is going to be, if you see people in your team, you can't tell people you're in this blame stage. What, get out of that blame stage, quit blaming everybody else. That might not be the best way to tackle it. How would you tackle for yourself if you are in one of these stages, or for somebody that you see in your team that might be in one of these stages that you can help them move forward?
Well, it's very simple. I would tackle it directly with them. That's the only way to solve it. And if they don't follow that advice, you can't do much for them. For myself, fortunately, since I learned this many, many years back, you will never find me in excuse mode and you'll never find me in blame mode. Nowhere in life. You might find me in the comfort zone. Yes. That's where I love to be from time to time. And that's why you might find me in management mode from time to time. But when things get serious, I'm back. I'm there. I can get myself out of management mode instantly and back in leadership mode and really thrive. But I am very, very conscious about myself and also the people I love, about my family members, not to be in blame mode at all, and not to be in excuse mode, because there's no point to be there. You do have control, but only if you accept that. And I think this is so important, especially in our business, or no matter what profession you are in, at your workplace, the same thing. Take on control, take on power, and you will see how magically things change to the better. Yes, it needs courage. And yes, you will face some adversity at times, but it will make you stronger. Staying in blame mode and excuse mode will make you weak. And what's even worse, it will even make others see you as being weak. And nobody who has power or can take you somewhere in life wants to be around weak people. It's just the way it is.
Do you think
So
it ties together then with like hunger? Like when you see if people are hungry and they're not where they want to be. So if you are not at where you want to be in Zinzino, do you think that people many times should take a look at finding out, or have you went from leadership down to manager mode? Have you went down into the excuse mode or the blame mode? Do you think that that has to tie together? Because when people are
yeah,
hungry, they try to work at what's going to get me to the next level. Just
yeah. I think there's no one in Zinzino who is where he wants to be. No one.
I think you're right.
Because when you are a platinum and you desperately want to be a director like this guy, believe me, that director wants to be a crown already. And if you want to be like I'm seeing my black ambassador here, Birgit Kutzicke, one of my top leaders in the organization, amazing job what that lady has done. She's a big part of our success, of Audrey and my success. And uh, everybody wants to be a black ambassador. I know she wants to be much further at this point, and so do I. So we always want to go further. The moment you stagnate, the moment you become unhappy, there's no stopping, no matter where you are. But of course, when you are platinum, you go for a director position first, and once you're there, you set new goals and just take it step by step. But it's never going to end. That's what I'm saying. It's not going to end. You can never be content, because the moment you're content, you fall back in the comfort zone, you fall back in management mode, and things will go slower, sorry. And once things go slower, you will be unhappy. And unhappy is a stage where you don't want to be in. So the more you force yourself out of a situation intrinsically, but also by the motivation and the support of the people around you, the more happy and the more successful you'll be in life. That's so simple. That's why I believe we all can do more at all times. And we should.
I love that. I love that. Now I know I've put a time limit because I know you've got to get on to your next meeting here. So I'm going to ask you just kind of
I'm good another 10 minutes. Don't
I know,
worry.
I know. I'm like, I've got 10 minutes, so I want to get everything I can out.
15. Yeah, I need to go at 6:45. We get another 15 minutes, so keep shooting.
Okay. So where do you see people that like the characteristics when you're saying be the leader, the characteristics of people that are leading? Because it's easy to get into manager mode when you said, you're working with your team, but the exact characteristics of those who are leaders, could you name a few of those? What do you see the most of your leaders? You just mentioned Birgit, which I absolutely love. Birgit, good to see you on here. But and those leaders that you see, that you spot, what are the characteristics? What are they doing that you can say they are now leading?
First of all, if you have a fast car, but you have no gas in the tank, this car is worth nothing, correct? And the fuel in the gas tank is the hunger. That's the first thing. You need some gas in the tank. This is the hunger. No matter how talented you are, no matter how experienced you are, the hunger, the fuel is one of the things that you need. And then the next is execution. Are you willing to step outside your comfort zone, and are you willing to grow? And that's the important thing. I don't believe that we are missing anything inside Zinzino. The good thing and the bad thing at the same time, which is more on the good side, of course, is that there's nothing we have to apologize for inside Zinzino. We cannot make excuses when it comes to Zinzino, if we are honest. There's a lot of companies out there. You can make a lot of excuses why your business doesn't work the way you want it to work. The product aren't that good, it's expensive, we don't have any customers, the company is messing up, the marketing is bad, yada, yada, yada. You can all use all these things. In Zinzino, you will not find one of these points that will hold you back. So you need to admit to yourself at all times it is at you. And when there's people who can make executive in their first months or in their second months, and then diamond in the first 3 months, and you want that too. You have the hunger. Maybe you say, oh no, I'm good if I'm diamond after 2 years. That's fine for me. Totally fine. No problem. It's not a race here, yeah? But if you want to become a diamond in 3 months and you are desperate, and then you don't make it, you just got to admit to yourself that the person who did it in 3 months must have done something better or more often than you who didn't manage to do it. Like I told my little son that his friend that night was playing a better football than him. It's just the way it is. So if he wants to score like he did, he's got to play better. If you want to become that diamond in 3 months or that ambassador in 2 years, you just got to score better. That's just the way it is. And if you don't know how to do that, ask those who've done it. You will always find a successful person in your upline who's willing to help you when they see you being hungry. Okay? But if they see you complacent, and if they see you passive, and if you see you in a Hakuna Matata state, they are not even going to call you because you're not fitting in their equation of becoming successful fast. You need to understand that an upline has the right to pick the people they work with in their downline. Just you being in their downline doesn't mean that you have the entitlement that they have to spend time with you. You got to earn this. You got to earn the attention of your upline. You got to earn the time of your upline. It's not there for you as a given, if you know what I mean. And the more and bigger and stronger the downline of a leader is, the more you got to fight to be on his team. It's like playing Champions League, which we do in Zinzino. You want to be on the field. There's only 11 people there in the team, but there's 30 on the stands. Which 11 will the trainer put on the field? The best ones. But if you are just sitting there waiting that the trainer says, oh, you know what? Oh, I don't think you're a good player. I don't think you're even hungry. I don't think you even want to sweat. But just for the sake of fairness, you're going to be on the field today. It's not going to happen. He's going to pick his best 11 all the time. That's what I'm saying. If you want to be seen, if you want to be noticed, if you want to become this leader, just strive to be better all times. And it's not excuse. There might be some people, I'm not a young guy anymore. I'm 58 years old. There's 38-year-old people or 28-year-old people in business, energy-wise, they can drive circle around us, right? But I'm not going to let that be valid. And even if you're 78, there's not an excuse to do slow. You got all the time in the world. Maybe the kids are out of the house. You got time to crush it, but you got to make this decision to do it. That's very, very, very important. Well, it always comes back to the same thing, as you can see. It's a simple thing. It's a simple decision.
And it's about you. So Zinzino
only about you. No one else is responsible for your success. No one. And no one is waiting for you. No one.
I think that is something everyone should have it. No one is waiting for your success. No one.
No, because if it's not you, somebody else will gladly take that spot.
Mm-hmm. So what do you do to keep yourself focused then, Sven? Because it is not always easy when you're going through the struggles. How do you keep yourself focused? I mean, you've been doing this for a while. You have been going full speed ahead since you started in Zinzino. So what is it that keeps you focused?
Well, first of all, I really love what I do. I compare myself and my life and the life we have with our family and what Zinzino offers us to all these other people out there. And I feel so incredibly blessed and grateful that I have that opportunity to live that life, to do that job, to work with the people, to do what I love the most. So I don't take it for granted, and I do my very best to keep that, cherish it, and to be the best role model for everyone else. That is a big driver for me. The second driver is I understand where this is going. And I think we have no imagination, none of us, how big and how powerful this thing here is going to become over the next years and decades. We have not the slightest idea.
I want to just dig into that too. I want to dig into that because I mean, we've heard Orion speaking of his goals. We know we're going to hit that 1 million, but you're saying it as
1 billion.
And we're going to continue going on to 100 million, and you're saying 1 billion. You're already going on.
You talk the amount of customers. Sorry, yeah, I thought.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, we're hitting up, and you're talking. There comes the corporate side of you of the sales. Love it. Okay, so but you're saying you don't think people really understand where this is going. And
No.
do you keep your focus on that? And where do you see we're going?
I think I can, for the first time in 32 years, 100% buy in and put my signature under the vision of our founder. He's not going to go to 1 billion in turnover. He's going to go to 40 billion. He's not going to go to 1 million customers, which we are very close to. He's going to go to 100 million customers, as you just said. That's the numbers. And I believe in these numbers. And what this means in terms of not only cash flow, not only monthly check, but what it means in terms of wealth generation for generations in our families to come. I believe we are the ones that is breaking through the generational tree in our families, and we all can be the one that has gotten the chance for generations to come and for the generations behind that to make the difference throughout our family genealogy. And that is something that drives me. I see that chance, I see this opportunity, I cherish it, and I'm doing my very best to contribute to it. And this wakes me up every morning. And I see a lot of people happy. We've brought a lot of people into Zinzino, and everyone is happy there. Everyone lives a better life today. Everyone is successful. Some are more successful than they ever imagined. Some of them are less successful than imagined. I wish it would go faster, but this takes us again to what we discussed 30 minutes ago. Same point. But most of the people are saying, wow, this is amazing. And I don't want to do anything else. That's why I'm here. That's why I push. I want you all to be super successful. I want you all to catch that vision. Don't dive into the body cell and talk about cell permeability, cell membrane permeability and all these things. Zoom out, understand that we have a mission to fulfill, to bring billions of people around that globe back into balance, and by that token, build a company that has been bigger than anything that's been seen in history. When it comes to nutritional product, we will be disrupting the entire direct space industry, but even more, we will disrupt the entire nutritional space. And that's big, and that excites me, and that ignites you. And if that doesn't ignite you as well, it's going to be tough.
I love that. But I can feel your excitement too. And I think we see that. So many of us see the vision of where Zinzino is going to go, and we want to be part of that. We want to get people to understand that. Now I've got to watch my time on here, but Sven, even though you still got a family, so if you're going to be running with this, it's great, but you also work at prioritizing, because I see that you do things, your children are involved, that you're making sure you're being the best dad, because we've got a lot of young people that are building this, that have a lot of goals and that have young children. But it doesn't change that they can prioritize things. And you yourself, you're working on that balance between family too. You and Audrey working together with the kids.
Yeah. I think our kids do understand what benefits they have from that, from mom and dad doing what they're doing. First of all, I feel very blessed when every morning I can see my kids leave for school and I'm here all day. When I'm not traveling, but I'm more at home than I'm traveling. And then when I see them in the afternoon or in the evening, come back home. Most kids have that differently. When they get up, dad is already gone. And when they are asleep, dad comes back. And that's the first blessing. So they see that. Second, we have so much freedom that we can work from any place. We can work from the back of a boat. We can work from a resort. We can work from any country. We can do whatever we want. Actually, what holds us back as a family is not us ourselves, it's the kids. So the kids are giving us the structure, and Audrey and I, we look at each other and say, hey, if the kids weren't there, we would be just flying around the world. We would be these digital nomads, making a ton of money, enjoying life from the best places, and ignite even more people all around the world. We have that freedom. And since we have our kids, we love our kids, we involve them as much as we can, Whenever they have a day off, we do something fun. And yes, dad is on the phone when something's happening. I'm not going to tell anyone off and say, I'm just with my kids. I'm sorry, I'm going to call you back. I do that very rarely. Kids understand, even if we are just at a fun place, having fun together, there's an important phone call. I take the phone call and they know in 5 minutes dad is back. So they understand how this functions. You can't have the best of both worlds. You got to make some sacrifices. My sacrifice is that I'm 24/7 available for my people, for my teams, for Doug, for Orion. I'm really surprised when they call Sunday nights or at the weekends because they are 24/7 pushing things, and we do exactly the same. The kids love it. I think they have an amazing benefit from it. They live an amazing life, and I wouldn't like to change a thing about that.
But I also see that you are prioritizing family. I can see it also in Audrey's posts where you got the kids and doing things. So you're finding a balance of really building and power hungry for building this big, and yet being that family man and still having this vision of where you want to bring this business.
Yeah, I think we figured it out. I'm very grateful. I'm endlessly grateful for Zinzino and for all of you and for the community we have here. It's exactly how I would have built my dream enterprise, and I'm now very happy to be part of that. I'm not taking this lightly. I want to do my very best of my abilities to contribute. As I said, I'm not going to slow down. I think we're going to take it to a whole nother level on a global scale, and this excites me, and I hope you get excited about this too. You make a decision, you ramp up, you become your better version of yourself every single day, and become meaningful for your family, meaningful for your environment, and meaningful for this company.
Oh, I think that is like the words to end on, because it is about you. So if anybody has any notes on this, it's all about you, and make that decision, because being a leader is a choice. Thank you, Sven, for your time, for coming on, and joining us today. And thank you all for coming on this Saturday when it's so beautiful out there. Let everybody also join in and say thank you to Sven. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for your time, guys. Thanks, Carla.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
It was great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great Saturday.